We're only a few days away from a brand new year, 2025. And when you look back at the last year that has almost passed, can you say that this year has been one of growth, one of improvements, one of transformation? Do you remember those New Year's resolutions you made back in January 2024? If not, that's okay. Today, we're going to talk about how you can make 2025 the best year yet. Stay tuned.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jose.
And I'm Angelica.
And today we're going to be talking about this important theme of making 2025 your best year yet. So if you haven't done so yet, we have an Instagram page entitled Mi Casa es Su Casa podcast. We want to invite you to follow us there so that we can be in conversation and together build a culture of growth. And we made a couple of questions this past week. And one of the first questions was, what do you do to prep for an intentional new year? And here are some of the answers that we got. This one, we got it from our friend Shannon Martin. Shout out to Shannon.
Yeah.
She said, complete a written reflection guide to reflect on the last year and set goals for the new year. What do you think about this, Angelica?
Yeah, I think that's a very intentional way to start preparing and developing a mindset that's ready to just take advantage of the time that's to come. And side note, this has nothing to do with what Shannon said, but Shannon is an amazing singer.
Yes.
You guys can check her out on Spotify. She has a song called Lamentation,
That's a
which
good
we
one.
actually were able to hear when she first made it, and we sang it together, and it's a beautiful song. We'll probably add it below so you can check it out.
We can definitely do that.
So yeah, check out her song. But Shannon, thank you for writing to us. That's definitely a very perfect way to start prepping for a new year.
Now we also have another comment that was made by Luz. Luz, what's her last name?
Lucecita Restrepo.
Restrepo. We call her Lucecita. She's just a very dear friend to us. And this was her answer. She said journaling and also reflecting on God's blessings through the year.
Yeah, I think that's really special when she said reflecting on God's blessings throughout the previous year. There's a quote by an author that we both really love, and she says that it's important to look behind and recall the way God has led us in the past. So that we know how He's going to lead us moving forward, right? So
Yeah, and that also helps us to keep a spirit of gratitude.
yeah,
Right, which is extremely important for us as human beings.
Yeah.
Awesome. We also asked another question. Let me look it up here. What's a goal you have for 2025? So I don't know if this is a goal, and we're not going to reveal the name of this person because maybe she's trying to keep it on the low for now. I'm sure that she's going to make it public sometime. But this person said having a baby. How exciting is
So
that?
congratulations to our follower who shared that. That's a
Yes.
very special surprise, and having a baby definitely is life-changing. A few days ago, I was looking at Instagram, and you know how they do those like recap videos that you can do about your year, and you add all your favorite clips. So my recap year for 2023 was full of us traveling and doing so many different activities. And then I tried making one for 2024. Everything from the start of the year until now, just Camila. If you don't know, Camila's our 10-month-old baby. So, and she was born in January. So it is literally having a baby is life changing.
It is an awesome thing. I recommend it entirely. Make sure that you do it at the right time,
At
though,
its
and
time,
you know
yes.
that you're ready for it and you want to have a baby. But it is a beautiful addition
It
to the
is.
family.
It
Right?
absolutely is. So I think what is good for us to talk about now moving forward is that this year was a little bit not necessarily life-changing, but I know I definitely had a midlife crisis.
Why?
Because I turned 30 this year.
I turned 32. Welcome to the third floor, baby.
No, I might as well be 80 at this point.
Relax. You're only 30.
I know, but like it's wild. You know how they joke and say that when you turn 30, like life flashes before your eyes and then you start getting aches and pains and all this stuff. This morning when I woke up, like my finger was hurting and I was like, whoa, do I suddenly have arthritis? Like, I've only been 30 for like 2 weeks.
So exaggerated.
But anyways, I bring this up because definitely for me, for the past 30 years, I've recognized that one thing that has almost been a pet peeve of mine about myself is the fact that I've always been just slightly too afraid to act on my ideas, on my wild dreams.
What do you think are some of the reasons why?
Mostly, I find fear of making mistakes, of failing.
Perfectionism?
I am a perfectionist, and you see that in everything that I do. I'm very meticulous, and sometimes it can get annoying. I annoy myself sometimes, but like it gets to the point where I realize that perfectionism even hinders me from moving forward. I like planning everything and making sure everything's aligned. And so one thing that I decided for starting now that I turned 30 was, okay, moving forward, I'm going to make sure that I'm no longer giving into that fear. I hate being paralyzed by fear because I always have these like grand ideas about things I want to do, and
Angelica is very, very creative.
like
I feel like you're a visionary too. You have a lot of great ideas. And something that I've told you before is I wish that you would see in yourself what I see in you, because I know that you can do a lot of great things. I know that you do a lot already, but stepping into the many more things that you could do with all these great ideas, you would be something else.
me.
Just calling her out in front of all of you.
No, but seriously, and I share this as a form of accountability, like everyone who's watching this, and even just for myself and for us. Moving forward, I definitely do want to step into a spirit of courage, in one that isn't afraid to make mistakes. And it's wild because as a teacher, I used to teach my students that making mistakes and failing is a part of learning, and that's how you improve. And nobody becomes a master or excellent at anything from the get-go. Like everyone
Without
had to
any type
learn.
of failure, right?
Exactly. So I'm tired of hindering myself. So that for me is the one thing that has me kind of moving forward this new year, and into this next century of my life. But I think it's timely that I share this because I think it's going to lead us nicely into what we want to talk about today, which is basically a proven method that apparently is supposed to help.
Proven method. So that means that if you're listening to this right now, this is a proven method, something that you cannot miss. So make sure that you call everybody, share this link with every single person that you know. Proven method.
Okay, relax.
To make 2025 your best year yet. Let's go.
So the proven method is a Japanese ritual called misogi. Okay, so misogi is a Japanese word for purification, and basically the idea is that people would stand under a waterfall or a cold body of water to purify the mind and the body for preparation for a new year. Now, people have adapted this idea for modern times, and now what people do is that they implement physical and mental challenges to be able to push oneself to grow and to be better and to transform. So
it's about pushing yourself to the limit. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. And so it's conquering one's fears and all the rest. And so the first, I guess, idea of misogi is this notion of doing one defining thing a year. So for 2025, that may look like, for instance, saving for a house or buying a house, or it may be losing a bunch of weight that you now look completely different than you did last year.
Maybe somebody who has been battling with certain addictions. They're like, you know what, this year, 2025, life-changing thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to apply myself to quit smoking. Or to quit drinking because this is just harming my life.
Right. It could also be maybe paying off some big debt that you had.
Yes.
Anything. So basically establishing one big life transforming thing for your year, or life defining thing for your year. So imagine yourself at the end of 2025. What accomplishment would make you feel the most proud when it's December 2025 and we're looking now to 2026?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, as we were reflecting on this concept of misogi, one big change so that when you look back, you can be like, this was my thing in 2025. Something that I've always wanted to do, and I have sort of applied it, but I have not been consistent in it, is to have to carry a personal diary with me at all times, a journal, because I've noticed that I have experienced so many good things in my life. I have so many good experiences, and I make so many memories with loved ones and with our family and with good friends. And sometimes, though I remember the people, I forget the memory. I feel like I have some issues with my memory for some reason. Truly, it's very weird,
My
but
mom would say you need more ashwagandha.
I don't know what that is,
It's
but
like a natural supplement.
okay, maybe I do. Maybe I do. But anyway, so this is something that makes me feel a little bit sad, to be honest, that I can't really recall the many things that happened throughout the year. So I'm gonna be carrying a journal with me in 2025 so that when something special happens, I'm gonna write it down. So at the end of 2025, I can look back at my diary and be like, this is what happened, and I can just recall the many things that happened. So that's something that I'm gonna do in 2025. To
Okay.
me, it's big. To you, it might not be, but to me, it's very important.
Yeah, and if you want to share with us your big life defining goal for 2025, go ahead and write it in the comments. For me, one big thing that I think will be life defining is finally getting into long distance running. So I mentioned this in our previous podcast episode. We will drop the link, or you can click here or somewhere on the screen to watch it. But pretty much before pregnancy, or before having Camila, I was very physically active and I was achieving lots of physical goals. But now that I've had Camila, my fitness journey looks a lot different. And now I'm starting to get back into my physical fitness, and seeing a few friends on Instagram and social media really inspired me. So, one friend, Ariana, she is amazing. Woohoo, Ariana. She is a physical fitness trainer, and she does long distance running with friends. And when I was watching her, I was like, wow,
You get
I'm
inspired.
inspired.
Yeah.
I want to run like that. And then our other friend Diego, who we've known for a while. Hey Diego, if you're watching. um, Diego, from what I remember, he didn't run when I first met him. I knew he worked out and things like
Play
that.
soccer.
He played soccer,
Yeah.
but now he's started running
Yeah.
to the point where I think he's training for half a marathon right now.
I actually think that he finished a half marathon. I think he's going for the full one.
That's
Yeah.
insane. That's
Anyways,
amazing.
like Diego has been putting in the time, putting in the effort,
Right.
and he's been running a lot.
Right. So what I've seen with both of them is that running at one point was not something they did,
Right.
and now it's something they've fallen in love with. And I
Right.
want to get to that point where I can run and run and run and not feel the burn per se, or overcome that mental battle of like, you could just quit.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to keep pushing. Why are you doing this for fun?
Yeah.
So I do definitely recognize there will be a mental struggle in running long distance, but I definitely do want to push myself, and at the end of the year be able to say, whoa, I can run and I really enjoy it, and I'm gonna go do that for fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so now that you know the first point, the second point, there are 3 points in this episode. The second point is for us to do every 2 months a mini adventure. Every 2 months a mini adventure. That means that throughout the year you would have done 6 mini adventures.
So
that
basically
means
you're planning a mini adventure every 2 months for the whole year.
for the whole year, every
Okay.
2 months. That means that at the end of the year, I would have done 6 mini adventures. Meaning that if you are 20 years old right now and you do 6 mini adventures in this year, and now you are 80 years old, you would have done 360 events or mini adventures throughout your life. That's amazing.
Okay, so like what counts as a mini adventure?
A mini adventure. So this is something that I wrote down. In the next 2 months, so January and February, I want to make the time to see friends that I haven't seen in a while. I know that you may not think that this is an adventure because, when I think about an adventure, it sounds to me like, oh, we're going to go on a trip and we're going to try whitewater rafting, or we're going to jump of a plane, or do bungee jumping, jumping off a bridge. To me, and as I was saying to you, I don't really remember the things that I did, but I do remember the people that I was with. And that's what impacts the core memories that are special to me. For example, I can recall a camping trip that we had when I was maybe 14, 15 years old. And I was with my friends from the Bethel Church. And I literally have the image in my head, laying down on some train tracks, abandoned train tracks, looking at the sky, looking at the stars, and just thinking about the second coming of Jesus, which is something that we believe as Christians, that Jesus one day is going to come. The heavens are going to be open and he's going to come and we're going to receive him. So just reflecting on that moment with my friends, my good friends, laying on those train tracks, it's a core memory that I have. An adventure, I don't know if somebody would consider that an adventure, but to me, it was so special. So I want to make the time to see these individuals that are so special to me and maybe I haven't seen in a while. How about you?
Yeah, that's really special, Amor.
Yeah.
For me, I would love to get to know my town better. So we live in Paris, Ontario. So Paris apparently is like named one of the most beautiful and scenic towns in all of Canada.
I've seen that.
It
It is a beautiful town. I don't
is
know
really
about all
cute.
Canada, but Paris is a
But
very
apparently,
beautiful
like they
place.
film movies and
Yes,
stuff
yes,
here in
yes.
Paris. So, anyways, we've only been to the downtown, which is literally like one road.
Yeah.
And we've been to maybe like a few shops there, but not very many. And then that's it. That's really all we know about Paris. We haven't explored the farmers markets. We haven't gone to trails. We
True.
haven't gone like walked down the waterfront by the river. Like there's so many things to do here in Paris, and we haven't really done much in the year that we've been here so far. So for me, I think my mini adventure is going to be exploring those trails, getting to know the local shops more, maybe trying the pizza and the ice cream shop down there too.
Sure,
I don't
sure,
know,
sure.
but
So you're planning on doing this in the next 2 months?
yeah.
Wintertime?
Yeah.
Mercy. I may have to FaceTime.
No, you're coming with. What do you say? So, the final point to Misogi is adding a winning habit every quarter. So that means that in the year you will have established 4 new habits. So one for every quarter, right?
This is important, Angelica, and you that are listening, because habits pretty much make who we are.
Yeah.
They develop our character. So habits are very important. And this concept of misogi, I'm so happy that I mentioned this about us implementing 4 new habits in the year, one per
Every quarter.
one per quarter. Ultimately, we're working on ourselves and in who we are.
Yeah. So the book Atomic Habits, I've mentioned it before. It calls this concept habit stacking, where you don't implement a bunch of habits at once, but rather you go one by one and you basically stack your habits so that they can become habitual. Sorry about the redundancy about that. But essentially what we're going to do is add and improve little by little throughout the course of the year. So what's one small habit that you have been thinking about implementing in the new year?
You may relate to this, and I'm just going to be very honest. I want to be farther away from screens, especially when I am in the dinner table. Sometimes, even though I'm not using the phone or the laptop, just having it on the table sends a message to those that are around me. Usually it's you and my baby. And I want to be as present as possible. And I feel like removing the distraction of the phone or the laptop is going to allow me to be more present and make even better connections in the moments when we are sharing a meal together or just hanging out together in the kitchen.
Yeah.
How about you?
For me, my habit stems from this podcast that I was listening to, The Diary of a CEO, where he was interviewing I think she was a doctor, no, a researcher, a toxicology researcher. And if you don't know anything about toxicology, it's basically the idea that there are basically everything that we use. So cleaning products, makeup, self-care things, pretty much everything has harmful chemicals, phthalates, and like other things, microplastics that we are constantly being infiltrated with that causes things like cancer and infertility and a boatload of other issues.
So all these
for our
toxic
health.
materials are affecting us.
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much. And so my goal would be to create a toxic free home. But I think before even doing that, one habit I want to implement is no longer purchasing without educating myself, I would say. So
Can you expand a little bit more?
yeah. So essentially making intentional purchases that I know are healthy for my home.
Are you
and for
referring
myself.
specifically to things that we put on and cleaning products
just
and
anything.
stuff like that?
So for instance, and I think it'll keep me from spending lavishly, I would say. So
Wow.
so it'll keep me
Lavishly.
No, I say lavishly in the sense that sometimes we make purchases that we don't actually need, and they're just what's the word? Impulsive. They're impulsive purchases, right?
okay.
So like makeup products, whatever. But I think if I'm intentional about looking at the ingredients, looking at the materials used, things like that, I will be able to make sure that my purchases are intentional, not just for money management.
I'm interested
but
in.
also,
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
but also for the health of my home and my family.
Yeah, I was just thinking here. I'm sorry that sometimes my
No,
brain
it's
just
okay.
goes.
Go ahead.
But what are some of those? You're talking about this podcast that you listen to, and about these things that are affecting us, that are all around us. What are some of the ingredients that we have to be careful with?
Oh, I'm definitely not the person to like educate because I was just listening to this podcast and doing my own research, and I definitely encourage everybody to do their own research before like coming to a conclusion.
You listen to the podcast, though. So what are some of those things? I'm curious.
Some of those things are phthalates, which is a chemical. There are also microplastics that tend to leach off of, cutting boards, for instance. When you're like cutting your veggies on a plastic board, you'll get microplastics that literally never dissolve. So the moment they're in your body, they're there to stay. Same way a water bottle never decomposes.
Right.
And yet water bottles fill a large percentage of our oceans because they never disintegrate, right? Another thing is, for instance, nonstick Teflon pans. You'll notice that, they're convenient because they save you time when washing and cooking. Like, they just don't stick, right? But Teflon has certain chemicals in it that is super harmful for our bodies and really does lead to cancer. So the doctor was saying that just one scratch, a small scratch on your pan can leach off up to 9,000, like an estimate of 9,000 different harmful chemicals that are underneath that Teflon like covering.
And we're consuming that.
And you'll say, oh, like it's just a small scratch, like I can keep cooking. But every time you reheat your pan, it'll leach those chemicals into your food. And then imagine the more scratched it is, the more it leaches off. And then there's products, chemicals in your makeup, in your skincare, in your shampoos, detergents, cleaning products for the home. So just everything. And it's made me so aware of everything that's in our home, because we have Camila, who unfortunately has been struggling with eczema for a good amount of time now, that it's been my living goal to help eliminate her eczema naturally. So yeah, that's my goal, is being intentional with purchases and mindful of the things that are coming into our home.
So as you can see, this is a proven method.
Proven and
Proven
life-changing.
life-changing method. So if you really think about it, when we finish 2025, if we have implemented these concepts that we spoke about today, we would have developed 4 new habits,
Yeah.
6 mini adventures
No.
or experiences, and 1 big life-changing thing
Yeah.
that happened.
A year defining.
A year defining experience, or a year defining habit, whatever that big thing is.
Yeah.
And if you repeat this over and over and over again for the rest of your life, I believe that at the end of your life, if Jesus hasn't come before, we can say with all assurance, I have lived life to the fullest.
I love
What do you
that.
think?
No, I absolutely love that. I think 2025 is the year to start stepping into who we're called to be. Definitely stepping into the potential that God has created in us. And I think it's definitely the year for us to pivot. The pivot year. I don't know. There's a book on that. But anyways. But
I can tell you read a lot of books.
but anyways, it's just the year to be the best version of ourselves, I would say.
Yeah, 2025 is going to be a special year for sure. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I want to encourage you to share this with other people. We believe that some of the conversations that we're having can be of a lot of benefit to a lot of people, whether they're very young or young adults like us, or even adults.
Or if they're young at heart,
or
but
young at
older
heart.
in age.
But older in age, that's right. So go ahead and share with them. If you have any questions or any comments, we want to get in touch with you in our comment sections. If you're listening to us in Spotify, we would love for you to follow us and also to give us a rating, because I know that when people do that, the algorithm of Spotify begins to share, your podcast in our case, with other people. So you would benefit us, and also we would be, just growing our community.
Yeah.
I know the
community of
punchline.
growth.
That's right, the community of growth. That's a really nice tag. I love that. We want to build a culture of growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you really did like what you saw here today, make sure to stay tuned for next week, because we will be dropping our next episode every Tuesday. So until then, I'm Angelica, this is Jose, and this is Mi Casa Su Casa.